Chief Okorie, welcome to the conversation.
Thank you.
We are launching a book which you wrote, yes. APGA and the Igbo Question. Why did you choose to write this book at this point in Nigerian history?
There have been demands over the years for me to write a book of the formation of APGA. The issue of Igbo Question was the one I added to it. APGA was founded in 2002. And less than 2 years after that, there was crisis, leadership crisis. Many Igbo people who keyed into the APGA movement were thoroughly disappointed. They waited for the crisis to be resolved. They couldn't. It lasted in court for 8 years until some of us made up our mind that we have had enough of the fight. We moved on. And this is 20 years down the line. It has become time. In fact, it's even by the grace of God that I'm still around to tell the story. There have been claims and counter-claims. There have been allegations and counter-allegations about what really transpired and what APGA meant. Those who hijacked it did not share in the vision of APGA. So the story of APGA covers a lot of things. It answers a lot of questions. And I would have written it next year when I'll be 70. But I said, well, this is 20 years. It's a round figure. Let me write it this year. So this is the reason for writing it. But as for writing the book, it's something that is even delayed. But I thank God it's not late.
Now, Chief Okorie, you spoke about the spirit of APGA. What warranted it? And you said you added the Igbo Question. Can you tell me the spirit of this APGA and the Igbo Question that you're asking to be resolved?
Actually, the two of the things, the spirit of the APGA and the Igbo Question are intertwined. Igbo people didn't have political leadership problem when Dr. Azikiwe was around. He easily became leader of NCNC, but he didn't start as leader of NCNC. He started as secretary of the party. And after the death of Dr. Herbert Macaulay, leadership fell on him. At that time, NCNC was basically a Western region-based party. But it was Dr. Azikiwe that took the NCNC to the Igbo State Union that had spread all over the country and convinced his leadership, led by ZCOB, Chief ZCOB of blessed memory. And the moment the Igbo State Union keyed into the NCNC platform, it became a national party. And what happened? Zik now used that NCNC to go into a coalition government with the MPC, Northern People's Congress, and Igbo people were relevant in the government of the First Republic. In the Second Republic, Igbo people were running helter-skelter as they are doing now, looking for who will take them as a running mate. Malam Aminu Kanu had a running mate from the southeast, from Igbo land. Chief Obafemi Awolowo had a running mate from Igbo land. Waziri Ibrahim also had running mate from Igbo land. And Zik didn't see why Igbo people will be playing second fiddle in a country they played a principal role in his achieving independence. So he came out of voluntary retirement from partisanship and bounced back and went into the MPP, which he didn't form, but he had the stature to dominate it. And when the Igbo people quickly coalesced on it, and it was that MPP that he used to go into an accord with MPN, again Igbo people were relevant. For example, Chief Mezuoke became Speaker of the House of Representatives, while Dr. Alex Ekweme was Vice President. That combination has not happened again. And that's the combination the Yorubas are enjoying today. With Sibanjo, Professor Sibanjo as Vice President and Right Honorable Bajabi Amila as Speaker. So all of these things I internalized and got me thinking. And so when we got APGA, it was to be a platform for political engagement, but that will also be favorably inclined to the Igbo political agenda. And so that was it. And it nearly achieved its purpose immediately, because it immediately became a movement. That was what gave the Odumegwu Ojukwu the opportunity to fly a presidential flag. Many people have forgotten that for even aspiring to run for president at some point, he was locked up for 10 months. In this country, nobody asked after him. 10 months after, they opened the prison yard, asked him to go, without charging him to anywhere, because they felt that he shouldn't dare. But
to aspire.
Yes, to aspire to that high office. But APGA came. We were able to scale all odds, all hurdles, and presented him. I was proud when I raised his hand as the presidential candidate of APGA. And there was a movement. All the people that run IPOB today, Nnamdi Kanu was our chairman in UK. For all of them, Edinburgh, in the UK, in Europe, who are kingpins of PDP today, were members of APGA. That was the extent the movement even went into the diaspora. But when this crisis came, everybody lost. In fact, it can be said that the reason we have IPOB today is because our young men lost interest in the political process, destroyed by our own people. So that's the thing.
Are you a bitter person? Are you an unhappy person?
I'm a very happy person. One, that God has kept me alive to be able to tell this story. I'm able to continue to make sacrifices to Ndibo.
But are you bitter about the unraveling of APGA?
I am I may not use the word bitter, but definitely I'm very unhappy about it. I'm sad. And that is why in the book I have a chapter called The Tragedy of APGA Derailment. There you will see all that, all the setback as a result of that avoidable and unprovoked crisis.
Chief Okorie, just two things quickly. I fought the Civil War.
Yes.
Till 3 days after the war had ended.
Yes.
One of the challenges we had in the Civil War was that some of us were fighting, others were benefiting. Even our own brothers and sisters were benefiting. Now APGA has broken down. From this book, some people are benefiting. Are we replaying the same scenario?
Well, you can say that. There's something in our DNA that we really need to work on, and that is part of what I have proposed in the book. In the chapter, I said a new vista beckons. That's why I'm now saying the way forward. There must be a way forward. I'm a chieftain of the APC today, but APGA is my baby. No father, no matter the wrong done to him, will throw away his child. And this is not the fault of the party called APGA, but some renegades and buccaneers that hijacked it and turned it into a cash cow. But there is opportunity for it to still serve that purpose. Igbo people want a presidential candidate. But it was APGA that gave Igbo people a presidential candidate 20 years ago. And it is only APGA that can give Igbo people a presidential candidate for 2023.
Do you expect that APGA will bounce back? And
Yes.
if APGA bounces back, where will you be?
Well, I will not walk into a house I built from the backyard. I walk into it from the front door, because that is the house God used me to build. I'm the founder. So if the circumstances are okay, if the Igbo people, you see, every political party in Nigeria is owned by some people or the other. When we got APGA, we gave it to Ohaneze, own it, use it, and it was Ohaneze, Justice Ozobulate, President General, that handed the Odumegwu Ojukwu over to me in the presence of 4 different Igbo people. All of them are still alive today, saying, go and make this our leader, presidential candidate. Ohaneze can still do the same. They cannot relinquish what God has given them. Go to Professor Soludo, sit down with him. Instead of going cap in hand, begging other parties for candidates, we want to take this party, we want to present our own candidates, and we want to support him to go and lock horns with the other people in the field for 2023. And you see an Igbo man wearing red cap like you and I, fly the flag. But I've said it time without number. Neither APC nor PDP will give an Igbo man the ticket. It's a very clear, it's there to everybody. This is political power. This is presidency of Nigeria. It's not something, nobody gives you power on the milk of the human kindness of the giver. It's not done like that.
Chief Okorie, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.